Ronell Nolan, President, CEO, Health Agents for America, coming to you live this Monday with a very important, maybe one of the most important updates that I've done in a very long time. A couple of things we're going to talk about: very important commission transparency, the $1.9 trillion COVID bill that was passed by the House on Saturday, our upcoming Power Hour on Wednesday. Very important to join us, 2 o'clock Central Standard Time for HAFA members only. Sharks is our host, is going to talk about how to pull out the high cost of drugs on individual and group products, and the Business Coalition for Fair Competition. I thought it was important to have JB join us and let you know what HAFA and they are doing regarding the Navigator program in the upcoming White House trips and issues. The other is the fact that the PAC is very, very, very important. I can't tell you how important with all the things coming up on a state and federal level. Anything helps. I mean, if you can only give $10, can give $10. If you can give the $120, give the $120. If you can give $500, give $500. If you can give $1,200, please give $1,200. I'm telling you that I need it. There are things happening on the state and federal level that I will need to get in front of these folks so they know who HAFA is. We have got to continue to put our face on the map. The first thing I want to talk about is the New York Times article about Democrats get a chance to engineer Obamacare 2.0. The first major repair job and expansion of the ACA, the plan to refashion regulations and spend billions through the stimulus bill. This is in the COVID bill that we're going to talk about in more detail. It plans on making Obamacare ACA simpler, more generous, and closer to what many of its architects wanted in the first place. So does this affect us? Absolutely. Those that work in the individual market, this piece of it will affect you. Tucked inside the stimulus bill that the House passed early on Saturday has a series of provisions that make private insurance more affordable, at least in the short term. It would make upper middle income Americans newly eligible for financial help to buy plans on Obamacare's marketplace. Again, make upper and middle income Americans newly eligible for tax credits. That's big news. That's something that you need to know about. And those that sell in the group market might want to, well, you absolutely need to know, especially those that may have two-man groups that have up to this point, group insurance has been cheaper. In many states, this could flip things on its ear. The challenge would be that also increase subsidies, for lower income. So give newly tax credit for higher, above 400% of poverty, and more generous tax credits for those under 400% of poverty. The changes would last for 2 years. Over 1.3 million more Americans, and it would cost about $34 billion, according to the CBO. So the difference in premium prices would be substantial from what they say. A 64-year-old earning $58,000 would see monthly payments decline from $1,075 under the current law to $412 under the new subsidies. That's significant. That's huge. They have talked to Senator Bill Cassidy from Louisiana in this article, and he states that he fears the short-term spending increases on Obamacare will prove difficult to undo. I think we all know that once you give something to someone, it is hard to take it back. And he cited a quotation from former President Ronald Reagan saying, "Nothing lasts longer than a temporary governmental program." So they say it's supposed to last 2 years. Will they be able to pull that back once they give it? I would say that's going to be almost impossible, but I'm just me. The other thing, huge, we've been asking for it for since the get-go. I would say since day one. Officials are hoping to resolve the family glitch problem, which makes Obamacare insurance expensive for children and spouses who only get insurance through their spouse at the job. Officials plan to also tighten rules for private short-term medical. I told you that was coming. And require them to cover a full set of benefits, meaning that that's going to be more expensive, meaning it's not going to be an option, meaning it's not good for short-term medical. They are also considering a long list of technical changes aimed at making plans more comprehensive, short-term medical. So family glitch, more tax credit. Huge news. I'm telling you, this Monday morning news is very important. Also, they said the new proposed spending, which would bring the law subsidies in line with early drafts of the ACA, how they wanted it to be in the beginning, is temporary. Making those changes permanent could cost hundreds of billions of dollars over a decade, a sum that may spook moderate Democrats once the economy is in better health. It also says in the New York, this is of course the New York Times, and for many Democrats that the overhauls do not go as far as they hoped. They were hoping that the president would also do something about lowering the Medicare eligibility age and also creating a public option. So very, very, very important. Now let's get to those members that sell in the individual and group market. Commission transparency. We've been talking to you about this. We were one of the first associations to bring it to the agent community. We continue to talk about it. And what I've learned over the weekend is that CMS will be promulgating the rules for the group and individual portion of the budget. So this does not mean the ERISA self-funded. That will still be done by the Department of Labor, and HAFA is still working on finding the correct person that, of course, hasn't been appointed yet, but will be in place for the self-funded. But let's talk about the individual and group commission transparency. As I've said from the get-go and continue to say, this is not a bill on Capitol Hill. This is the law. So things are not going to change. What it says is what it says. What we're looking for is rules, regulations. How do we do it? What does it look like? We don't want to be penalized. We want to make sure we do it correctly. If, it includes bonuses, what does that look like? Does it include GAs? Things that are not specifically laid out. Now, I also heard that another association had pulled out bonuses. Nobody has pulled out anything. Nothing has been done. Bonuses are specifically listed in the law. Could rules be promulgated about that? I would say no. I even, in my response or my request this weekend, I was kind of told law is the law, which I know. But now is the time for you to get your eggs in, all in one basket. Find out what your questions are and what we need to know. Put them in a formal letter and go ahead and request our appointment now. Now, that person hasn't been placed in their position yet, but we will already have our request for an appointment already there at CMS saying HAFA would like to meet with you and hear our issues and questions. Now, if we go with a list of questions, it says we agents want to be taken out. We don't want to, be transparent about our commissions. We don't want to do this and that. I mean, I'm going to tell you, first of all, I'm not going to write the letter because that's not going to happen. And I don't want that kind of black eye put on the HAFA administration. But we're going to come in with, we would like a formal, a form. We would like a form that we can use, everyone can use, and that we know that everyone's doing the right thing. That can be used. Of course, it doesn't have to be used because you might have attorneys that have created a form that works much better. So your homework is to get to me by the end of this week, Friday. If you get it past Friday, I'm writing the letter Friday. I'm just telling you, I'm getting it to Washington on Friday. Tell me what your questions are. What would you like to know? What would you like me to talk to CMS about? And what would you like me to talk to the Department of Labor about ERISA plans? Because that's something else that I will absolutely be working on too. I'm just not sure where to go. I have reached out to some folks on Capitol Hill that are working on another piece of the budget, the surprise billing, and they're working on figuring out who I would talk to in the Department of Labor. Actually, one person that they know has just been appointed, and hopefully that person might be able to help me. But no, we are on top of this. Think about it. You've heard what I've said about commission transparency. You've hopefully listened to my presentation. You listened to other presentations. You know what it says. You know we have to be transparent. Now, what do you want me to ask? Important. Can't tell you how important this is. This is a law, a federal law that will be here forever. So what do we want to do for us in the future generations of insurance agents? What are the questions that we need to know now? What kind of rules and regs do we want promulgated that makes it easier for us to be transparent? Get ready, get prepared, and we are going to be ready to rock and roll. So we talked about a little bit about the 1.9 trillion COVID plan. I wanted to give you a little bit more insight into that bill. Now, what I will say is that it was passed by the House on Saturday. It's headed to the Senate. It was passed in the House that included minimum wage. The Senate has said we're not allowed to pass this bill that includes minimum wage. We're going to take it out. So even the Senate Democrats had to agree that that was not allowed in the Senate, and that will be taken out. What that means is something is not passed by the House, passed by the Senate, sent to the president. Not going to happen. It's passed by the House, corrected in the Senate, or amended, not corrected, I'm not going to say that, amended in the Senate, goes back to the House to be passed, goes back to the Senate to be passed, then sent to the president. So minimum wage being taken out of the bill in the Senate. What the bill does include is a $1,400 stimulus check, an additional check to the $600 that was already sent out. So the vast majority, the same people that make under $75,000 per individual, $1,500 per 150,000, $75,000 individual, $150,000 per family, will receive the additional $1,400. It also expands unemployment and child tax credit. $50 billion for COVID testing and tracing, aid for state and local government and transit, assistance for food, rent, and mortgages, business relief and retirement security. Also, not only about the tax credit, but I forgot to say this earlier because it wasn't in that article, in this article, is it includes COBRA subsidies for workers who've been laid off or their hours have been reduced. So it creates healthcare subsidy for COBRA. So important to us, COBRA tax credits for under 400, tax credits for over 400. So included in the 1.7 trillion with a T COVID relief package. I think that was all, and that was in the Washington Post. So that article included in your Monday news. Also, California's largest single payer proposal is being discussed. So California trying to pass single payer, very important to our folks that are in California. Benefits Pro, please read that article. Very important for you to pay attention. Our legislative liaison, Craig Gusson, sent that over also. Just a reminder about the Power Hour. One of the things that the BCFC has created is a White House conference on small business. So they're trying to we've been working on this for several years, have a conference that is for small business and support small business over government entities taking small businesses' jobs. New IRS guidelines increases flexibility in carrying over FSA funds. However, the decision to adjust employees' benefit programs is still at the discretion of the employer that sponsors the plan. Benefits Pro, definitely pay attention to that. Lastly, I want to say that with a successful IPO, Oscar Health may be worth $7.7 billion. $7.7 billion, and they do not pay commissions in New York. Again, they do not pay commissions in New York. So as soon as this goes through, this is put through by the article Think Adjuster by our friend Allison Bell. When we see this IPO go through and Oscar is now worth 7.7, we're going to get in front of them and ask them why they can't afford to pay agents in New York. Just not fair. So remember to put a Power Hour on your calendar for Wednesday, 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. You can ask any questions that you want about the COVID relief bill or the federal budget that was just passed or commission transparency. We'll be prepared to answer any of those questions. And also make sure to put on your calendar the HAFA Summit, August, the last week, Thursday and Friday in August, the 26th and 27th. Some folks have asked about what are we going to do about COVID protection. We're going to follow the rules and regs and make sure that we do everything that is in place. As we know, August is far from now. We don't know what's going to happen in August, so things are going to be different. So I'm not going to say these are the rules right now and this is what we're going to follow, because of course those are going to be different. So hopefully you learned a lot today. Share with your colleagues. Please ask them to join HAFA. $18 is not, it's nothing compared to what HAFA is doing on the federal side and protecting you and promoting the fact that we are part of the solution and we are not the problem. And we want to be here 100 years from now. We do not want to give up our jobs. And as Hillary Clinton said several years ago, no, we're not willing to do something different. We want to do what we were trained to do, and that is be insurance agents. And we don't plan on giving that profession up. So tell your colleagues they can go to the HAFA website, click on membership and join directly on the website. It sends me a link. I send out their welcome packet and they're good to go. Please call me if you need anything. Send me an email, reach out, send me a text. Let me know how I can help. Don't forget your homework. Send me that list of your questions, your concerns, your comment about the commission transparency that affects group and individual the market. You must be transparent about your services and your commissions. If you're not sure where to find that piece of the law, let me know. I'll direct you again. I'll tell you what page to go in the 5,593 pages. But have a wonderful week. I'm blessed and honored to represent the cream of the crop, the best of the best, HAFA freedom fighters. Love you all. Have a wonderful week. Until next Monday. Actually, until Wednesday. See you then.